Hi everyone, so I hope you're doing well today. I thought we'd do this video outside as it's a bit nicer in my location at the moment. So if you want to know where I am, then have a look at my Facebook page as you'll see from there. But today is about living abroad and the advantages, the disadvantages, the things that you need to think about if you're thinking of moving abroad or you want to make the move. You've already decided, then this video will be very useful for you. So the first thing is to consider any language barriers that you might face. Now, obviously that's different if you're moving somewhere where the language is the same as your native language. So like if you're British and want to move to Australia, the USA, obviously you're not going to face those barriers. Same to an extent if you're traveling to a place or moving to a place where English is widely spoken. Maybe it's not the native language of the people, but it's like a second language or a semi-official language. Places, for example, maybe India, Singapore, tourist places where it is often spoken, although the locals don't prefer to use it. So that's really something that you have to take into account because it leads to a lot of frustration, first of all, if you're not able to communicate with people around you to say what you want or what you need, in terms of things like paperwork, especially in Spain. Even though many parts of Spain, the people do speak some English in the tourist areas, but in terms of legal things, the legal documents, they will even the advice on the government website often is only in Spanish. There may be English translations, but they won't be official. Any sort of legal documents would have to be in Spanish or translated into Spanish, as that's the only recognized language in Spain. Besides regional variations, they might be also different, but in general, that would be the only official language. So those are all definitely things to consider. I mean, even if people do speak some English in terms of making friends locally, and that's the other point that I wanted to bring up actually in terms of socializing, making friends, you might find it pretty difficult if you don't speak the language of the place you're in, you're not able to understand anything. Local events that you go to would only be in the language of the area. So those are all other things that you really should take into account when moving abroad. That does actually bring me on to another thing, which is the culture of the people. If you don't understand it, like what are things that are considered normal in the area? What are things that are not done? What are things that you should take personally or not take personally? Sorry, that is considered normal. For example, in some places, you might find that people are quite abrupt, maybe a bit snappy. They might come across that way to you. Maybe the people are very direct. They don't smile so much. Maybe if you're from the States, you might find that the levels of service are probably not going to be the same as, I believe, outside the US or maybe North America. People don't work for tips so much, so they have a minimum wage anyway. I know that we do in Britain, for example, so there's less motivation there, right, for service levels to be as high. But yeah, those are things that you might want to consider. In some places, people might appear as being quite abrupt and slappy, but you shouldn't take it personally, and that's just the way things are done there. Also, how you should put yourself across if there's a normal thing, like to people say hello when they pass in the street. Do they not? Do you say hello to the room when you're in the restaurant, or do you not? Even in terms of how do you pay, like is it normal to pay with cash or card for small amounts of transactions? Is a certain payment method not accepted in the place that you're going to? how much do you tip, or if you tip at all, if it's even necessary. Those are all sorts of things that you do need to take into account, especially in Southern Europe. If you'll find, for example, I believe in France, but definitely in Spain, during the month of August, a lot of people go away, go to the beach. So, or a lot of people have holiday from their job for that month. So even though you'll find that things will be open, especially in tourist areas, of course, as that's the busiest time. In terms of legal things, like any paperwork that you need doing, visas, that sort of thing, you'll find that either it's hard to get an appointment or things go a lot slower during that month of August, partly also because in some places in Southern Europe, the temperature is just so hot that people take that month as holiday and take things a lot slower than maybe we would in say, Northern Europe, Britain, USA. And that does actually bring me on to my next point of any sort of paperwork that you might need for the place that you're going to. So, for example, even if you're an EU citizen moving to another EU place, then you might find that there is some formalities still that you need to do. I know in Spain, you need the NIE number, the social security number, and that's sometimes a long process. If you're from somewhere like Britain, USA, then obviously that process is a little bit harder now. You need a visa. So you want to think about the cost of that visa, how long it will take. Do you need to do it before you arrive? What do you need to do when you arrive? All of those sorts of things. So that's probably all for today, but if you're interested in my other videos, then do have a look at those. I'll put the links down below.